I just found out my best friend of 10 years, 28F, has been secretly dating my ex, 31M, for months while simultaneously being my shoulder to cry on, helping me pick out revenge glow-up outfits, and telling me I deserve better than him. The betrayal hit me like a truck last night when she accidentally sent me an Instagram story screenshot meant for her private close friends list showing them kissing on her couch, the same couch where I've been ugly crying to her about our breakup every week since it happened. When I called her out, she looked me dead in the eyes and said, "It just happened, and honestly, you were already broken up, so I don't see the big deal." I feel like my entire world has been turned inside out, and I can't tell if I'm overreacting or if everything I thought I knew about loyalty was a lie. For context, Daniel, 31M, and I, 29F, were together for 3 years. He broke things off 4 months ago, giving me the classic "it's not you, it's me" speech, saying he needed to find himself and wasn't ready for something serious. I was devastated. We had talked about marriage, kids, the whole future. Bethany, 28F, immediately stepped up as the ultimate best friend. She brought over ice cream, listened to me cry for hours, helped me delete his number, or so I thought, and even organized a girls' trip to help me move on. She would constantly reassure me that he was an idiot for letting me go and that I deserved someone who truly valued me. Last night changed everything. I was scrolling through Instagram when a notification popped up that Bethany had tagged me in a story. When I clicked on it, I saw a photo of her and Daniel together on her couch, clearly very intimate, with the caption "4 months with this one," red heart emoji, followed by "oops. Wrong account." She deleted it seconds later, but I had already taken a screenshot out of pure shock. My hands were shaking as I called her immediately. She didn't pick up the first 2 times, but when she finally answered, her voice was casual, as if nothing had happened. When I confronted her, she initially tried to play it off, saying it was complicated and that she had been meaning to tell me. But as I pressed further, her tone changed to defensive. "Look, Liv, what was I supposed to do? We connected while he was going through the breakup with you. It just happened naturally. And technically, you were already broken up, so I don't see the big deal. You've been dating for 4 months?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. "That means you got together right after we broke up." There was a pause. "Well, we started talking a little before that, but nothing happened until after, I swear." My mind raced back to all the times Bethany had been busy lately, canceling our usual Friday night dinners, being vague about her plans. All the times she had listened to me cry about missing Daniel, offering advice and comfort, while secretly going home to him afterward. "You've been lying to my face for months," I said. "All those times I was crying to you about him, you were actually with him?" "I was trying to protect your feelings," she replied. "I knew you wouldn't understand. And honestly, I've been a great friend to you through this breakup. I've been there for you more than anyone else." The conversation spiraled from there. Bethany started bringing up past issues in our friendship, claiming I had always been dramatic and possessive of my boyfriends. She even had the audacity to say that maybe there was a reason Daniel chose her over me. When I told her I couldn't believe she would betray me like this, she scoffed and said, "People don't own other people, Liv. He wasn't your property." After hanging up, I went straight to Daniel's Instagram and saw that while he hadn't posted anything with Bethany, he had liked every single one of her photos going back months. I then checked my text history with Bethany and noticed how she would often text me things like having a quiet night in or working late on evenings when she was apparently with him. The more I dig, the more I feel like I've been living in some bizarre alternate reality. I've gone through our mutual friends' social media and found a few group photos where Bethany and Daniel are standing suspiciously close together at events I wasn't invited to. One photo from 2 months ago shows them at Rachel's birthday party, a party Bethany told me she couldn't attend because she had food poisoning. I haven't responded to either of them since last night. Daniel has sent me 3 texts asking to explain things, and Bethany has called me 7 times and left tearful voicemails saying I'm taking this way too personally and that friends should support each other's happiness. I'm seriously considering cutting both of them out of my life completely. Bethany has been my best friend since college. We've been through everything together, from bad breakups to family tragedies to career milestones. Losing her would mean losing a huge part of my support system. But I don't see how I can ever trust her again after this level of deception. Am I overreacting? Is there some friend code I'm not aware of that makes dating your best friend's ex of 3 years okay as long as you wait until after they break up? Or am I justified in feeling like this is an unforgivable betrayal? Ida for wanting to cut them both off completely? First update. Thank you all so much for the overwhelming support and validation. I honestly posted this in a moment of desperation, questioning my own sanity after Bethany made me feel like I was being unreasonable. Reading your comments has helped me realize I'm not crazy for feeling betrayed, and I'm not alone in my standards of friendship. A lot has happened in the week since my original post. The morning after I discovered everything, I woke up to 12 missed calls from Bethany and a long paragraph text from Daniel asking for a chance to explain things properly. I ignored both of them and decided to call our mutual friend Rachel, 29F, instead, since she seemed to be in some of the group photos where Bethany and Daniel were together. Rachel was silent for a long moment after I explained what had happened. Then she sighed and said, "I was hoping you'd never find out this way." Turns out, not only had Bethany and Daniel been seeing each other for 4 months, but Rachel suspected their emotional affair had started well before my breakup with Daniel. She described how they would always end up in deep conversation at group gatherings while I was talking to others, and how Bethany would often offer to pick Daniel up or drop him off when I couldn't. "There was this weird energy between them for at least the last 6 months of your relationship," Rachel admitted. "I confronted Bethany about it once, and she got really defensive and said I was imagining things. After you two broke up and they suddenly started hanging out openly, it all made sense. I felt physically sick hearing this. All those nights Daniel was working late or having guys' nights toward the end of our relationship. Was he actually with Bethany? Had my best friend been actively pursuing my boyfriend while I was still with him? The timeline was becoming increasingly suspicious. Against my better judgment, I agreed to meet Daniel for coffee 2 days ago. I told myself it was for closure, but part of me wanted to hear the ugly truth directly from him. He looked terrible when he arrived, unshaven, dark circles under his eyes. He launched into an apology as soon as he sat down. "I never meant for any of this to happen," he began. "Bethany and I genuinely didn't plan this. We just started talking more when things were getting rocky between us, and she really understood me." "When exactly did it start?" I demanded, cutting through his carefully crafted narrative. He squirmed in his seat. Nothing physical happened until after we broke up, I swear. That's not what I asked, I said, keeping my voice steady. When did you and Bethany start having feelings for each other? After some more dodging, the truth finally came out. Daniel admitted that he and Bethany had been texting constantly for about 2 months before our breakup. She would check in on him during our fights, offer him advice, tell him he deserved better treatment. He swore nothing physical happened until 3 weeks after our breakup, not immediately after, as Bethany's Instagram post had suggested, but by then they were already emotionally invested in each other. So while I was crying to her about our relationship problems, she was simultaneously texting you behind my back? I clarified. Daniel had the decency to look ashamed. I know how bad that sounds. It sounds bad because it is bad, Daniel. I was surprised by how calm I felt. You both betrayed me. The meeting ended with Daniel offering weak apologies and claiming that he and Bethany had tried to find the right time to tell me but were afraid of hurting me. I left feeling oddly empty but somehow clearer. After meeting with Daniel, I decided to check the backup of my phone that I had from about 6 months ago, when things were still good between us. Going through old messages, I found several instances where Bethany had subtly undermined my relationship with Daniel. Don't you think you're overreacting a bit? Daniel works so hard, it's normal he needs space sometimes. Maybe your expectations are too high. Not every guy wants to text constantly. I don't think him going to that concert without you is a big deal. Trust is important in relationships. At the time, I had thought she was just being objective and helpful. Now I can see she was planting seeds of doubt while presenting herself as the understanding friend who really got him. Bethany has moved from tearful voicemails to anger. Her latest message accused me of creating drama and refusing to be happy for two people who found each other. She's also been telling mutual friends that I'm blowing this out of proportion and trying to make people choose sides. Some friends have been incredibly supportive. My brother Ethan, 32M, offered to let me stay at his place when I told him I couldn't bear being in my apartment where Bethany and I had spent so much time together. While at Ethan's, I met his neighbor Alex, 30M, who went through something similar last year when his best friend started dating his ex-fiancée. Talking to someone who understood exactly what I was going through has been surprisingly helpful. Alex suggested I consider therapy to process the dual betrayal, and I've scheduled an appointment with a therapist for next week. He also encouraged me to set clear boundaries with mutual friends, let them know I don't expect them to choose sides, but I also won't attend events where Bethany and Daniel will be present, at least for now. I still haven't directly responded to either Bethany or Daniel. Every time I start typing a message, I feel the anger and hurt bubbling up again. Alex advised me not to communicate with them until I feel ready and centered, which might be days, weeks, or never. For now, I'm focusing on small acts of self-care and rebuilding my sense of trust in my own judgment. Thank you all again for your support. I'll update again when there are new developments. Second update. Thank you all for the continued support and advice. Your comments have been a lifeline during this extremely difficult time, and I'm grateful for every single perspective shared. It's been about 3 weeks since my last update, and a lot has changed. I've been seeing Dr. Chen, my therapist, twice a week, and she's been helping me process the anger and betrayal I've been feeling. One of the most valuable things she said to me was, their choices reveal who they are, not who you are. That simple statement has been my mantra on particularly difficult days. Alex and I have been spending a lot of time together. What started as trauma bonding over similar experiences has evolved into a genuine friendship. He's been incredibly respectful of my emotional state and hasn't pushed for anything beyond friendship, which I appreciate. Having someone to talk to who truly understands the specific pain of this kind of betrayal has been invaluable. Now, for the developments. Last week, I finally felt strong enough to meet with Bethany. We met at a neutral coffee shop downtown, far from our usual spots. I arrived early and chose a table in the corner, wanting some privacy for what I knew would be a difficult conversation. Bethany arrived looking uncharacteristically nervous. Usually so put together, she seemed frazzled, with dark circles under her eyes. She immediately launched into what sounded like a rehearsed speech. Liv, I know you're hurt, and I understand why. But you have to believe me when I say none of this was planned. Sometimes feelings just happen, and you can't control them. Daniel and I tried to fight it, but there was just this connection between us that wouldn't go away. I let her finish before responding. When exactly did these uncontrollable feelings start, Bethany? Before or after my relationship ended? She hesitated, and in that pause, I knew. We never acted on anything while you were together, she insisted. That's not what I asked. After some more dodging, she finally admitted that she had developed feelings for Daniel about 8 months ago, while I was still very much in a relationship with him. She claimed she tried to ignore them, but they only intensified. So while I was telling you about our anniversary plans, or asking your advice about our arguments, you were secretly fantasizing about being with him? I asked. It wasn't like that, she protested weakly. Then what was it like? Explain it to me, because from where I'm sitting, my best friend coveted my boyfriend, possibly encouraged our breakup, and then swooped in the moment we were over. That's when she said something that confirmed my worst suspicions. If your relationship had been solid, nothing I did or said would have mattered. The implication was clear, she had actively tried to influence the outcome. I pressed further, and eventually, Bethany revealed that she had met Daniel for coffee multiple times in the months leading up to our breakup, meetings she had never mentioned to me. She insisted they were innocent, just two people talking, but admitted they had discussed his doubts about our relationship. You were his sounding board for why he should break up with me, I stated flatly. I was just being a friend to him, she countered. Sometimes being on the outside gives you perspective. The conversation grew more heated as I brought up specific instances where she had undermined my relationship while pretending to support me. When confronted with her own text messages, screenshots I had saved from my phone backup, she became defensive and tried to turn things around on me. Why were you saving texts and looking for evidence? That's honestly creepy, Liv. This is exactly the kind of obsessive behavior that pushed Daniel away. I felt a familiar surge of self-doubt begin to rise, but then remembered Dr. Chen's words about gaslighting, how abusers often try to make you question your own reality. Instead of getting defensive, I simply said, I think we both know what really happened here, Bethany. The conversation ended with Bethany tearfully claiming that she never meant to hurt me and that losing my friendship was killing her. But when I asked if she would have done anything differently, she couldn't give me a straight answer. As I was leaving the coffee shop, my phone buzzed with a text from Rachel. How did it go? Call me after. Rachel has become an unexpected ally through all of this. During our last conversation, she revealed that Bethany had tried to spin a narrative to our friend group that Daniel and I were practically broken up for months before the official breakup, and that she had helped him find the courage to end things. According to Rachel, most of our friends didn't buy it, especially after seeing how Bethany handled the aftermath. The most shocking development came 2 days ago when Daniel asked to meet again. Against my better judgment, and Alex's advice, I agreed. Daniel seemed genuinely remorseful this time, not just sorry he got caught. I need to tell you something that's been eating me up, he said after we'd settled at the table. Bethany has been revising history. She's been telling people, including me, that you and she had conversations where you allegedly said you were over the relationship long before we broke up. I was stunned. That never happened. Daniel nodded. I know that now. Rachel called me out on it, and when I confronted Bethany, she got really defensive and changed her story multiple times. He went on to reveal something that made my blood run cold. About a month before our breakup, when Daniel and I had that huge fight about him canceling our weekend getaway for work, Bethany had apparently shown him screenshots of private conversations where I had vented about the relationship. She had presented them out of context, making it seem like I was much unhappier than I actually was. She made it seem like you were complaining about me constantly to her, that you felt trapped but didn't know how to end things, Daniel explained. Looking back, I can see she was manipulating both of us. While this new information didn't excuse Daniel's role in the betrayal, it did shed light on just how calculated Bethany's actions had been. She hadn't just opportunistically swooped in after a breakup, she had actively engineered it. After meeting with Daniel, I went straight to Alex's apartment, too shaken to be alone. He made me tea and listened as I poured out the whole sordid story. When I finished, he looked me directly in the eyes and said something that resonated deeply. You know, sometimes people mistake kindness for weakness. But there's nothing stronger than maintaining your integrity when others have abandoned theirs. The support from Alex, Rachel, my brother Ethan, and even unexpected allies like my coworker Jen, who went through something similar, has formed a protective circle around me. I've started to feel less like a victim and more like someone who dodged 2 bullets, a manipulative friend and a boyfriend who could be so easily influenced. In terms of practical steps, I've blocked both Bethany and Daniel on all social media platforms and deleted their contact information from my phone. I've informed mutual friends that I don't want updates about their relationship and that I won't be attending events where they'll be present, at least for now. I've also been focusing on rebuilding my life. I've joined a rock climbing gym, something I always wanted to try but Daniel wasn't interested in, reconnected with old friends who had drifted away during my relationship, and even signed up for a photography workshop that starts next month. The hurt is still there, but it's evolving into something less raw, less consuming. Dr. Chen says this is normal and that healing isn't linear. Some days I feel almost normal, and others I'm blindsided by memories or realizations about moments that now seem suspect in hindsight. There's going to be a mutual friend's birthday party next weekend and both Bethany and Daniel will be there. It will be the first time we're all in the same space since everything came to light. I'm nervous but determined not to let their presence dictate my social life forever. Alex has offered to come as my +1 for moral support. I'll update again after the party, or if there are any significant developments. Thank you all again for being an unexpected but much-needed support system during one of the most difficult periods of my life. Third update. Thank you all for your incredible support and advice on how to handle the party situation. I was honestly dreading attending, but your encouragement gave me the strength to face it head-on instead of hiding away. The party was eventful, to say the least. It was for our friend Zoe's 30th birthday, held at a rented event space downtown. I arrived with Alex at my side, feeling nervous but determined. We had agreed beforehand that we would stay for at least an hour to show support for Zoe, but could leave any time I felt uncomfortable. Walking into that room was one of the hardest things I've done recently. The conversations didn't exactly stop when I entered, but there was a noticeable shift in energy. Rachel immediately came over to greet us, giving me a tight hug and introducing herself to Alex. She whispered, there by the bar. Just so you know. I thanked her for the heads up and deliberately chose a spot on the opposite side of the room. For about half an hour, we managed an awkward dance of avoiding each other while pretending not to notice. I caught Bethany glancing over several times, but I focused on my conversations with Alex and other friends. Things took a turn when Bethany, clearly having had a few drinks, decided to approach our group. Daniel tried to stop her, grabbing her arm and whispering something, but she shook him off. She walked straight up to me with a forced smile. Liv. I'm so glad you came. I was worried you might avoid the party because of everything. Her voice was overly bright, and I could tell she was trying to create the impression that things were normal between us. I wouldn't miss Zoe's birthday, I replied simply. That's so good of you, she said, with emphasis that implied I was the difficult one. I think it's important we all try to be mature about this situation. I felt my face flush. Mature? Like secretly dating my boyfriend while consoling me about our relationship? The conversation around us quieted. Bethany glanced around nervously, clearly not expecting me to be so direct in public. That's not exactly how it happened, she said, lowering her voice. And I really don't think this is the place to discuss it. You brought it up, not me, I pointed out. But you're right, let's not ruin Zoe's party. Excuse me. I tried to move past her. Bethany stepped slightly to block my path. Actually, while we're both here, I think we should clear the air. I hate that you've been telling people I stole Daniel from you. We both know your relationship was already over long before anything happened between us. I felt Alex stiffen beside me. Rachel, who had drifted closer to our conversation, looked alarmed. That's interesting, I said, keeping my voice steady. Because Daniel told me you showed him out-of-context screenshots of my private messages to make him think I wanted to end things. He also mentioned you were meeting him secretly for months before our breakup. Bethany's face drained of color. He's lying. I would never do that. Really? Because I have the receipts, Bethany. I pulled out my phone and opened my calendar app. Coffee with Daniel on March 12th, lunch on March 27th, drinks on April 3rd. All while I was still very much in a relationship with him. All meetings you never mentioned to me, your supposed best friend. Her eyes widened. How did you? Daniel gave me access to his Google Calendar. Turns out he actually feels remorseful, unlike you. At this point, a small crowd had gathered around us. Daniel appeared, looking uncomfortable. Bethany, I think we should go, he said quietly. She ignored him. You're making me look like some kind of villain, she hissed at me. I was there for you through everything. I held your hand while you cried. I listened to you complain about him for hours. While actively undermining my relationship behind my back, I replied. That's not friendship, that's sabotage. Daniel stepped forward. Bethany, that's enough. We were both wrong. He turned to me. Olivia, I'm sorry this is happening at Zoe's party. Something in me snapped at his reasonable tone. Oh, now you're concerned about propriety? Where was that concern when you were discussing our relationship problems with my best friend instead of me? Where was that respect when you broke up with me and moved on to her without missing a beat? Bethany suddenly turned on Daniel. Why did you give her your calendar? What else have you told her? Her voice had risen considerably. Zoe appeared beside us, looking concerned. Hey guys, maybe we should take this somewhere private? But Bethany was too far gone. No, I want everyone to hear this. Olivia's playing the victim, but she doesn't tell people how she was constantly complaining about Daniel, how she said she felt trapped but was too afraid to end things. There was a collective intake of breath from the onlookers. My heart pounded in my chest as I realized just how far Bethany's lies had gone. I never said that, I said clearly, looking around at our friends. Bethany made that up to justify her actions. And Daniel, I turned to him, if you really believe that, why didn't you ever talk to me about it? Daniel looked ashamed. I should have. I know that now. Bethany's face contorted with anger. This is exactly why I didn't tell you about us. I knew you'd turn everyone against me, make me look like the bad guy. Your actions made you look like the bad guy, Rachel interjected. Not Olivia. Stay out of this, Bethany snapped at Rachel. No, I don't think I will, Rachel replied firmly. I've stayed quiet for too long. I saw what was happening months ago and I should have said something. She looked at me apologetically. I'm sorry, Liv. Bethany was becoming increasingly agitated. So what if I have feelings for him? You can't control who you fall for. And I waited until you were broken up. Except you didn't, Daniel said quietly. Be honest, Bethany. That night after the concert in February. Bethany whirled on him. Shut up. That was one time, and it was just a kiss. The room went silent. February was 2 months before Daniel and I broke up. I felt strangely calm as the final piece of the puzzle clicked into place. So there was physical cheating too. Good to know. Alex placed a supportive hand on my shoulder. Bethany noticed the gesture and sneered. Already moved on, I see. So much for being heartbroken. Alex is my friend, I said firmly. Something you clearly never were. Zoe stepped between us. Okay, that's enough. Bethany, Daniel, I think you should leave. Bethany looked shocked. You're kicking us out? But it's my birthday party too. We've been friends since college. And I love you, Zoe said, but what you did was wrong, and you're making it worse by causing a scene and attacking Olivia. Daniel took Bethany's arm. Come on, let's go. She jerked away from him. This is your fault. You promised we'd keep our story straight. More revelations. I felt an odd sense of vindication mixed with sadness watching their relationship implode in real time. I can't keep lying, Daniel said. It's eating me alive. Bethany looked around the room, saw the judgment in everyone's eyes, and stormed out. Daniel followed after giving me one last apologetic glance. After they left, there was an awkward moment of silence before the party gradually resumed. Several friends came up to express their support, many admitting they had heard Bethany's version of events but hadn't fully believed it. Alex stayed by my side the whole time, a steady presence that grounded me. When I finally felt ready to leave, he walked me home under a sky full of stars. You were incredible in there, he said. Standing your ground, speaking your truth without losing your composure. 6 weeks ago, I would have been a sobbing mess, I admit it. But now, I just feel sorry for her. Sorry for her? Alex looked surprised. She threw away a decade-long friendship and her integrity for a relationship built on lies. And now she's lost everything, me, her credibility, probably Daniel too from the looks of it. That's a high price to pay. Alex was quiet for a moment. That's a remarkably compassionate perspective. Don't get me wrong, I added. I still think what she did was unforgivable, and I have no intention of letting her back into my life. But I'm not angry anymore. Just sad for what could have been. When we reached my apartment, Alex hesitated at the door. Would you like to have dinner with me tomorrow? Not as friends who trauma bonded, but as a date? I was surprised by how right it felt. I'd really like that. The next day, I received a lengthy email from Daniel confirming everything that had come out at the party and adding more details about how Bethany had manipulated both of us. He ended by saying he and Bethany were taking a break to reevaluate their relationship. I sent a brief acknowledgement but made it clear I had no interest in further communication. Bethany, meanwhile, has been on a social media apology tour, posting vague statements about mistakes and growth without ever directly addressing what she did. Some mutual friends have told me she's been reaching out to them individually, trying to salvage her reputation by offering watered-down versions of the truth. So far, it doesn't seem to be working. Dr. Chen says the party confrontation, while uncomfortable, was probably necessary for my healing process, a chance to reclaim my narrative and stand in my truth publicly. I think she's right. For the first time since this whole mess began, I feel like I can breathe again. My dinner with Alex was wonderful, easy and comfortable in a way I hadn't expected. We've seen each other several times since then, taking things slowly but with a definite sense of possibility. I know there will still be difficult days ahead. Trust doesn't rebuild overnight, and I'm still working through the trauma of such a profound betrayal. But for the first time in months, I'm looking forward rather than backward. And that feels like progress. Final update. It's been 6 months since my last update, and I want to thank you all for the support, advice, and occasional tough love that helped me navigate one of the most difficult periods of my life. I've been rereading your comments regularly as a reminder of how far I've come. So much has changed since that explosive confrontation at Zoe's party. I promised myself I would wait until I had truly processed everything before giving a final update, and I finally feel ready to close this chapter. Let's start with the Daniel and Bethany situation. About a month after the party, Rachel informed me that they had officially broken up. Apparently, the trust between them had been irreparably damaged. Daniel couldn't stop wondering if Bethany would do to him what she did to me, and Bethany couldn't forgive Daniel for betraying her by telling me the truth. The poetic justice isn't lost on me. Bethany tried to reach out multiple times in the months that followed. First came a handwritten letter delivered to my apartment, 8 pages of explanation and justification that still somehow managed to avoid taking full responsibility. Then flowers on my birthday with a card saying she missed her best friend. Most recently, a text asking if we could finally talk like adults. I haven't responded to any of these overtures, and with each passing month, I feel more confident in that decision. Dr. Chen helped me understand that forgiveness doesn't necessarily mean reconciliation. I've forgiven Bethany in the sense that I no longer allow her actions to control my emotions or dictate my choices. But I've also recognized that some betrayals permanently alter the landscape of a relationship, making true restoration impossible. As for Daniel, we had one final conversation about 3 months ago. He asked to meet for coffee, and after discussing it with both Alex and Dr. Chen, I agreed. The meeting was surprisingly healing. Daniel had been in therapy himself and seemed to have gained genuine insight into his role in the betrayal. I let Bethany manipulate me because it was easier than facing the problems in our relationship directly, he admitted. I should have come to you with my doubts instead of discussing them with her. And I should have been honest about my feelings instead of letting her push us toward a breakup. We talked for over 2 hours, clearing the air about many unresolved issues. By the end, we had reached a place of mutual understanding and forgiveness. We agreed that while we could never go back to being friends, we could at least wish each other well and move forward without animosity. Our friend group has largely settled into a new normal. Some mutual friends have maintained relationships with both Bethany and me, carefully navigating the separation. Others have chosen sides more definitively. Rachel and I have grown particularly close, bonding over our shared values and her regret at not speaking up sooner. I knew something was off between Bethany and Daniel for months, she confessed during one of our wine nights. I told myself it wasn't my place to interfere. But watching how devastated you were after the breakup while they were secretly together. I should have said something. You did eventually, I reminded her. That took courage. The most significant development, of course, has been my relationship with Alex. What started as a friendship born from shared trauma has evolved into the healthiest romantic relationship I've ever experienced. Alex's patience as I worked through my trust issues has been nothing short of remarkable. He never pushed, never demanded, just consistently showed up and proved through actions rather than words that not everyone will betray you. 3 months into dating, I had a panic attack after seeing him text someone late at night, convinced he was hiding something. Instead of getting defensive, he simply handed me his phone and said, I have nothing to hide from you, ever. It was his sister asking advice about a job interview. That moment was a turning point for me. I realized how deeply my experience with Bethany and Daniel had affected my ability to trust, and how unfair it would be to punish Alex for their sins. We've been officially living together for 2 months now, and the ease of our daily life together sometimes takes my breath away. Last week, he asked me what I thought about marriage someday, not a proposal but an opening of the conversation. For the first time, the idea didn't fill me with anxiety but with quiet excitement. Professionally, I've also made significant changes. The marketing agency I worked for offered me a promotion that would have meant working directly with Bethany's company as a client. Instead of accepting out of financial motivation, I took it as a sign to pursue the career change I'd been contemplating for years. I'm now 3 months into a digital content strategy role at a nonprofit focused on mental health awareness, less money but infinitely more fulfilling. My brother Ethan teases me that betrayal was the best thing that ever happened to me, given how much my life has improved since then. While I wouldn't go that far, I can acknowledge that sometimes the worst experiences force growth that might not have happened otherwise. Dr. Chen says that true healing isn't about forgetting the wound but about integrating it into your story in a way that empowers rather than diminishes you. I think I've finally reached that point. The betrayal no longer defines me, but it has informed who I've become, more discerning about who I trust, more assertive about my boundaries, more authentic in my relationships. Yesterday, I was going through old photos on my phone and came across one from 3 years ago, Bethany, Daniel, and me at a music festival, all smiles and naive happiness. Instead of the usual stab of pain, I felt an odd sense of compassion for all 3 of those people, none of whom had any idea what lay ahead. We were all doing our best with the emotional tools we had at the time, limited and flawed as they were. I've learned that people can be both the heroes and villains of your story at different times. Bethany gave me 10 years of genuine friendship before her betrayal. Daniel gave me 3 years of mostly good memories before his weakness hurt me deeply. Even at their worst, they weren't monsters, just deeply flawed humans who made terrible choices. As for me, I've stopped seeing myself as a victim and started recognizing my resilience. The woman who once cried herself to sleep over these betrayals now falls asleep in the arms of someone who values integrity above all else. The friend who once desperately needed validation now stands firmly in her own truth, regardless of who believes it. If you're going through something similar and have made it this far in my story, please know that the cliché is true, it really does get better. The pain doesn't disappear entirely, but it transforms into something else, wisdom, strength, clarity. The fog of betrayal eventually lifts, revealing a landscape that might look different than you expected but can still be beautiful in its own way. Thank you for witnessing my journey, for your kindness, your wisdom, and your belief in me when I struggled to believe in myself. This chapter of my life is closing, but the story continues, and for the first time in a long time, I'm genuinely excited to see what comes next.